For my personal growth project this semester, I chose to learn how to throw pottery. Before this experience, I had never been in touch with my artistic or crafty side per se. I definitely cannot draw unless you count stick figures, and cannot carry a tune unless you would consider my shower concerts something for the Grammys. However, I approach this as an opportunity to be in touch with a part of me that I'm usually not that in tune with. When I first started thinking about the project or skill that I wanted to learn, it really came to mind super quick. My best friend Kelly has been throwing pottery ever since I've known her. After pressing Kelly about issues regarding her pottery throwing career, she shared with me that she started throwing pottery because of a high school class that she was required to take. Since then, she truly fell in love with what it means to throw pottery and the ability to create artwork that she can share with her friends and family. Throughout her undergraduate career at UF, she worked at the Arts and Crafts Center, so it was a perfect opportunity to engage with Kelly on a whole new level and to really dive into parts of our friendships that we haven't really shared before. Up front, Kelly shared with me that throwing pottery was not as easy as the movies make it out to be. She said that there was going to be a lot of failures and that there really wasn't going to be a whole lot of opportunity for mistakes because once you make one, the whole thing just falls apart. The first leadership skill that I learned in this process was the act of listening attentively. Now, granted, I usually do that pretty well, but sometimes I can tend to tune out things that I find relevant or not important to the discussion at hand. However, with throwing pottery, Kelly shared with me that I have to take each step in accordance with the last, that I must listen to her instructions attentively because if one mistake is made, it will not only impair that opportunity, but also will make steps further into the project a little bit more difficult. So as you can see in this next clip, when I'm throwing pottery, Kelly's reminding me to always keep the pressure on the bottom of my hand right here and not on the top, which at first I didn't listen to very well, and my first pottery piece is very short and stumpy, and that's because I could not elongate the entire piece at the top. So take a look at the next clip to learn why listening is so important. So I just left my first throwing session with Kelly, and oh my gosh, so much harder than I expected. But Kelly has a very awesome way of providing feedback that is both hands-on, but still allows me to gain the necessary skills that I need. During the semester, we talked so much about providing feedback in a constructive manner. Actually, we're talking about it this week. So I found that Kelly's style of providing feedback both allowed me to grow as an individual and to really learn what skills I needed to be successful if I ever wanted to start a pottery throwing business. So here's some key takeaways. 1, make sure to apply pressure at the bottom of your hand or you're going to end up with a very, 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 very skinny cup. 2, always be open to listening to feedback and never shut down. And 3, it's super important to wear an apron when throwing pottery because if not, you're going to be covered in clay like I am on my way to my next meeting. So super excited to try it again in a couple of days. In between our first and second session, Kelly decided that it would be good for me to understand what pottery means as a whole. So she decided to take me to the UF Pottery Students Annual Career Showcase. Now, what does this have to do with leadership? She taught me that when you are a people-oriented leader, that you will go the extra mile to ensure that your students and your followers will be able to succeed by showing them the greater picture in different situations. After my first session with Kelly was over, and in between the time we went to the art showcase and our second throwing session, I had a little bit of time to do some self-reflection on what I wanted to achieve out of this project. For me, this was not about learning how to be a master pottery thrower or to produce something that I could give to my mom on Christmas. Rather, this was an opportunity to be in touch with my creative side, to take away the parameters of a normal business schedule and to really dive into a side of me that I'm not that in touch with on the daily basis. This took a lot of self-awareness to understand where I was on the skill set and where I was going to be in the short amount of time that we had together. However, even though I realized I wouldn't be a master pottery thrower, Kelly always provided feedback in a manner that made me feel positive. After our first throwing, she again told me make sure to not apply too much pressure here and to kind of have a little bit more fun with the whole entire process. This was super valuable heading in to our next session, as this would be our final time together. Kelly reminded me again to not take things so seriously and to really dive into making the artwork something that I would be proud of in our short time together. So I just left my second and sadly final throwing session with Kelly, and oh my gosh, did I progress ever so slightly. Kelly provided feedback about how I place my hand on the spinning wheel, remembering to apply pressure at the bottom and work my way to my top, and to always spin the wheel a little bit faster than I think I need to. But something that was super minute, after I finished throwing, I stayed and watched Kelly throw, and something that was super apparent to me was her vision for the piece that she wanted to create. Kelly idealized what she wanted to have start when she started on the project and kind of worked her way throughout the project, worked through that vision throughout her entire process. I found this to be super relevant in leadership because without a vision, the leader is kind of just wandering aimlessly throughout the entire process. Super excited to see what they look like after they're kilned. After spending the day putting this video together, I never realized the link and connection between throwing pottery and being a true, authentic leader. This experience taught me so much about listening to those around you who have a better and brighter vision in place for you, how to constructively take feedback, how to be self-aware in situations that you're not so confident in, how to take people and put them at the center of your leadership philosophy, and how having a strong vision can be influential in determining your best success. The most important thing I think, however, that I learned throughout this process is that when you're in a mentor capacity or a leader of a team or a group or in a positional leadership, that you should always keep people at the focus of everything that you do. Throughout our entire process, Kelly's focus was to ensure that I received the most out of our time together. She always found ways to include me in the process of preparing the clay to be thrown to kilning them at the end. Kelly was all about making sure that I was successful. Kelly oftentimes would reschedule events to make sure that we could both find a time to meet, and that at the end of the process, I left away feeling successful to the best of my ability. Since selfless service is at the center of my leadership philosophy, I found that watching someone put those words into actions was super beneficial as I moved forward in my leadership career. Kelly taught me that at the end of the day, the most important thing to leaders are the individuals that we serve.